Hey everybody, this is Bonnie Barker with Bonnie Bay Crochet, and today I want to show you how to make my colorful popcorn pullover. This is crocheted 100% in the round, so there is absolutely no sewing involved, and I think that even a confident beginner can accomplish this project. Well, let me go ahead and show you what you're going to need. For this project, I'm going to be using these two colors of fingering weight yarn. Both of these are by Earth Company. This is unique fingering, and let me show you some of the stats on this yarn. This particular hank has 435 yards or 400 meters. It's 100 grams, and this is 100% extra fine superwash merino. I'll put along the bottom here how many hanks that you will need of this color. And let me give you the color number there if you're interested in duplicating what I'm doing. It's color number 3010. And the other yarn that I'm going to be using more hanks of for the main body of the sweater is this monochrome hand-dyed extra fine merino. And let's look at the stats on this. It also has 435 yards per hank, 100 grams. And as I mentioned, it's already extra fine superwash merino wool. Okay, so again, you can find how many of these I used along the bottom, and I'll also put that in the video description as well as in the written pattern, which is available in my Lovecraft store. I'm also recommending for this project, I'm going to be using a size G or 6 or 4.00 millimeter crochet hook. But since this is a fitted item, do be sure to spend some time to work up a small gauge so that you can verify which hook you will need to be using. And I'm recommending that you have a pair of sharp scissors as well as a yarn needle available. And I'm also recommending that you have a tape measure because you're going to be needing to measure to verify the length of some items. I'm also recommending that you have several stitch markers, and it's important that they be removable. Many of the knitting type stitch markers are not, so make sure that you are able to remove them. And if you don't have these available, it's not a problem. You can just use contrasting pieces of yarn. Now we're ready to begin, and I just wanted to be clear that I am going to be making the medium size sweater, and I'm going to begin with a slip knot. And if you are making a different size than this, please consult the written pattern for specific numbers. Okay, for the medium size, I'm going to be crocheting 114 stitches. And I am beginning with my multicolored yarn because this is starting from the yoke, and then we're going to work our way down. So starting with that multicolored yarn, chain 114 for the medium size. After chaining 114, we are going to join to form a ring, and I'm going to be very careful, and I'm going to make sure that this chain is not twisted, and I do this by just seeing the front of the chain, and I'm just going to carefully go back to the first stitch. Okay, and then I'm going to insert my hook. And we're going to join with a slip stitch. I am going to chain 2, 1, 2, and I am going to start in that very stitch. I'm going to get that out of the way. The same place of joining, I'm going to work a double crochet, and I'm going to work a double crochet in each stitch around. And I am not working in the back bump. If you want to work in the back bump, you can, if that is your preference. I'm planning on working a collar portion later that is going to cover up the rest of this chain. But go ahead and work one double crochet in each chain all the way around. At the end of this round, you should have a total of 114 double crochets. And as with many of my patterns, I am not including the chain 2. I am not including this as a stitch in this count. So go ahead and finish round 1. At the end of round 1, we're going to join with a slip stitch to that first double crochet of the round, and do be sure that this is not twisted in any way as you join. And as a reminder that chain 2 is not counting as a stitch. I know I've said that before, but I just need to remind you. Okay, so we're going to chain 2 to begin round number 2, and we're going to work a front post double crochet followed by a back post double crochet followed by another front post double crochet. After that, we're going to work in the top loops, and we're going to work a half double crochet in the next stitch, and in the next stitch we're going to work a popcorn half double crochet. So we're going to work 4 half double crochets in the same space. After we do that, we pull up a loop, and then we're going to insert our hook in the first of those 4 half double crochets, pick up that loop and pull it through and give it a chain, and then in the next stitch we work another half double crochet, and that is the repeat that we're going to work around. So I'm going to go ahead and do that one more time for you. We work a front post double crochet followed by a back post double crochet, and then a front post double crochet, and after that we work half double and through the top loops. Then we work that half double popcorn, which is 4 popcorns, worked in the same place. Pull up the loop, insert the hook into that first of the 4 half double crochets, pull that through and give it a chain. Make sure the chain is not too tight up here because we are going to be working in that in the next round. Okay, and then half double crochet after that. So that is your repeat all the way around. You should have a total of 19 repeats of this 6 stitch motif. At the end of round 2, we're going to join with a slip stitch to that first stitch of the round. And let's take a look at what we have. And you should have a total of 19 popcorns and 19 sets with the front and back post double crochets. Now we are going to turn for the next round. We're going to chain 2, and we are going to work increases. So in that first half double crochet, we're going to work 2 half double crochets. In the top of the popcorn, we're going to work 2 half double crochets there, and in the next half double crochet, which is on the other side of that popcorn, we work 2 half double crochets. And then when we get to the post stitches, we're going to work a back post double crochet, and then a front post double crochet, and then another back post double crochet. Let me do this again since that yarn was on the dark side. Okay, so for the repeats again, we're going to now make sure that you don't work in this loop. This is actually part of the stitch that we just worked. So we're going to work 2 half double crochets. Let me pull that one out and try that again. There we go. And then 2 in the chain, which is the top of the popcorn stitch right there. So 2 half double crochets in that popcorn stitch, and then 2 half double crochets in that stitch right beside it, which is also a half double crochet. And then we get to the post stitches. We work a back post double crochet, and then a front post double crochet, and then another back post double crochet. So this is what we have just worked, and let me show you what the front side will look like. So you're making sure that you keep these post stitches forming these lines in the work, and we're going to continue those for the duration of the yoke portion. So go ahead and complete round 3. At the end of round 3, we join with a slip stitch to that very first half double crochet of the round. Okay, now we're going to turn, chain 2, 1, 2, and beginning round 4, we're going to continue with a front post double crochet and then a back post double crochet just over those lines or ribbing sections here. So after that last front post double crochet, we're going to work a half double in that next stitch, and then we're going to work the half double crochet popcorn in the next stitch with those 4 half double crochets. Pull up the loop and pull that on through and give it a chain, and then a half double crochet in the next stitch, and then we're going to do that again, half double crochet in the next stitch and a half double crochet popcorn in that next stitch, give it a chain, and then a half double crochet in the next stitch. Let's go ahead and take a look at that. And now we go back to the front post double crochet, back post double crochet, and then a front post double crochet. So that pretty much starting from here with the front post, back post, front post, half double, popcorn, half double, popcorn, half double. That is the repeat all the way around. So I'm going to go ahead and finish this popcorn area for you one more time. So after working those post stitches, we work a half double crochet and then a half double popcorn, which again, those 4 half double crochets, make sure we get 1, 2, 3, 4. Give it a chain, half double crochet, and then another, and do that again, half double crochet, then a popcorn, and pull it on. Let's make sure that we pull that on. Well, let's try that one again. There we go. I was grabbing an extra strand and I didn't want to do that. And then a half double crochet. So go ahead and work that all the way around. At the end of round 4, we're going to join with a slip stitch to the first stitch of the round. And let's just take a look at what we have. And you may want to go ahead and verify that you have 2 popcorns all the way around for each of those sections. Let's go ahead and I'm going to do a quick visual check right now. Okay, that looks, go all the way around. Yep, that looks pretty good. Okay, so now we're ready to move on to round number 5. And this will be worked. I'm going to go ahead and turn the other way with the back side facing. Go ahead and chain 2. We're going to work 2 half doubles in the first half double crochet of the round, and then 1 in the top of the popcorn. Let me go ahead and try that one again. There we go. Okay, now after that, there is a strand here that is part of the popcorn. I just want to be sure that you're not counting that as a stitch. The next stitch is actually right here. So in that next stitch, we work 1 half double, and then the next stitch, 1 half double, and then we come to the top of the popcorn. We work another half double, and then we have one more half double here. So go ahead and work 2 half doubles in that. So let's pause a second, and this is the section that has the popcorn. And so what we're going to do, we are changing that from a 6 stitch to an 8 stitch section. So we work 2 half doubles in the first of that half double crochet, and then 1, and then 1, and then 1, and then 1, and then 2 more in that last half double. So you should have 8 half double crochets in the sections that are in between the post stitches. And then we get to the post stitches, and we work a back post, a front post, these are all post double crochet, and then a back post double crochet, and that will be the repeat all the way around. Let me go ahead and work this one more time. So now we are working the section in between the post stitches, and I'm just going to work this again for you just so that it's clear. So we're going to work 2 half double crochets in that first stitch, and then 1 in top of the popcorn stitch, 1 in the next half double, and then 1 again in the next half double, and then 1 in the top of that next popcorn stitch, and then 2 in the next half double. So again, we've changed a 6 stitch area into an 8 stitch area, and that is the, go ahead and look at the other side, the popcorn area between the ribbing or the post stitches. So you should have 8 stitches in between if you're making the size that I'm making right now. So go ahead, and then after that we do the post stitches again, back post, front post, and then back post, and then we repeat this section all over again. Let's go ahead and look at the other front side after you complete this. This is what it should look like. So go ahead and work this all the way around. At the end of this round, we're going to join with a slip stitch to the first stitch of the round, just like that. Let's go ahead and turn and see what we have. This is a lot of fun watching these colors unfold as we go. Okay, so now for the next round, we're going to chain 2, and just for the record, there are going to be no more increases. We're just going to follow the next, really 1, 2, 3, 4 rounds to establish the collar. Okay, we're going to work a front post double crochet, back post, and then a front post again. And now working over this section, we are only going to add 1 popcorn, and I will show you where to put that one. Okay, so we're going to work just 1 half double crochet in the half double crochets. Let me go ahead and try that one again. There we go. So just 1 half double crochet there, 1 here, and 1 here. So we're going to have half double crochets in the first 3 stitches. In the next stitch, we're going to work a popcorn, half double crochet popcorn with those 4 stitches, and then pull that on through, and then 1 half double crochet in the next 4 stitches. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So it will look just like this. And then we're back to repeating with the front post, back post double crochet, and then a front post double crochet, and then I'll repeat this other section one more time for you. Half double crochets in the next 3 stitches, and then that 4th stitch we're going to work a half double crochet popcorn. Just like that. And then we're going to half double crochet in the next 4 stitches. And that's going to be the repeat all the way around. We're going to join with a slip stitch to the top of that first stitch of the round, and let's go ahead and take a look at what we have. And notice how with these popcorns you'll have 1 and then 2 and then 1, and then the next in 2 more rounds we will have repeat the 2 again. But let's go on to round number 7. We are going to chain 2, and again, no more increases, so we are just going to work 8 half double crochets in the popcorn section. So that's 4, and then 5 should be at the top of that popcorn, and then 6, 7, and 8. And just as a note again, there is a space with this popcorn and it looks an awful lot like a stitch, so be careful not to add an additional stitch. You should have just 8 half double crochets, and then we're going to work a back post, a front post, and then a back post, and that is your repeat. So go ahead and work that all the way around. At the end of round 7, we're going to join with a slip stitch to that first stitch of the round. And let's go ahead and turn and take a look at what we have. Now we're going to go on to round 8, chain 2, and we're going to work a front post double crochet, a back post double crochet, and another front post double crochet. Again, this is with the front side facing, and we're going to work 1 half double crochet. This is in the popcorn section, and then we're going to work a popcorn with the half doubles. That was 4 of the half double crochets. And then after that, we're going to work 3 half doubles. 1, 2, 3. And then we're going to work another popcorn, half double crochet popcorn. And half double crochet in the last 2 stitches of this section. So let's just take a look at this. So you can see how these are more centered on these other popcorns. All right, and then that is going to be our repeat. I'll do it one more time. We're going to do a front post double crochet, a back post, and another front post, 1 half double crochet, a 4 half double crochet popcorn, and again, make sure that you insert your hook into the first of those 4 stitches so that we don't lose any stitches along the way. Half double in the next 3 stitches, and then we're going to work another popcorn with those half double crochets. Again, making sure I'm only getting those 4 stitches and not making sure that we don't accidentally, you know, take one of these stitches here, because that would shorten our stitch count for the next round. And then half double crochet in the next 2 stitches. Let me try that one again. Okay, so inside the section with the popcorn, you should have 2 popcorns, 1, 2, plus 6 half double crochets, 1 here, 3 here, and 2 here. Okay, so go ahead and work this all the way around. At the end of round 8, I am going to join with a slip stitch to that first stitch of the round. And let's go ahead and take a look at how beautiful these colors are coming out. Just the randomness of it is really fun, and just reminds me that it's not just the finished product that is the joy, but the journey as well. And it's one reason I love working with colorful yarn when I can. Okay, so now we're going on to row number 9. We're going to chain 2. And now as we work this round, we are going to work 1 half double crochet in each of these stitches. And as I said before, you should have a total of 8 as we go. So let's go ahead. 1, 2, 3. Remember, this is not a stitch as part of the popcorn. And then 4, 5, 6, 7, which is the top of that popcorn, and 1 more, which is right here, 8. Again, this space right here is part of the popcorn. If you have more than 8 stitches, it's probably because you've used one of those, so you need to be very careful to not add stitches in there. And then after we do those 8 single crochets, then we do the back post, double crochet, front post, and then another back post. Let me do this with you one more time just so that I give you a clear presentation of this. So we have in between the post stitches, we have 8 half double, so that's 1, 2, and the third is at the top of that popcorn. And again, that is part of the popcorn here. That's 4, 5, and 6, and 7. And again, that is not a stitch here, but this one is 8. So, and if you're not sure, just make sure that you have 8 stitches in between these post stitches. And then we go again, back post, double crochet, front post, double crochet, and then followed by a back post, double crochet. So go ahead and complete round number 9, and let me show you what this looks like from the front side. Okay, we'll go ahead and finish that round. At the end of round 9, we're going to join with a slip stitch to the very first stitch of the round. And let's go ahead and turn and see what we have. Okay, I have some instructions now since we've already gone over the rows that we're going to be repeating. So rows 6, 7, 8, and 9. So row 6 is with the 1 popcorn in the middle, and then 7 has the back side facing, 8 has the 2 popcorns, and then round 9, we're going to repeat that until we have the size of the collar that we need. So you can look at the bottom of the screen for the number of repeats, and also look across the bottom of the screen, and I will put where round 6 begins. So if you need stitch support, you can go ahead and go back and just follow along with me. Just know that this section is going to be larger as you repeat those 4 rounds. So after completing the repeats, I'm going to show you just a second, but I just wanted to show you the rounds. Okay, so we had rounds 6, 7, 8, and 9. Round 6 being the round with the 1 popcorn, and then 8 with the 2. So we have repeated this 1, 2, 3, 4 times, and then rounds 6 and 7 one more time. Okay, so let me go ahead and show you the collar. I really love the way this is coming out. Okay, now I've also added some stitch markers, and let me go ahead and show you what I have done. Okay, this is where I'm going to have to reattach this again. No, actually not. Here we go. I did leave a little stitch there so that it wouldn't come undone. So this is where we joined at the end of the round, and I'm going to be discontinuing this color in just a second. But before we do, I wanted to show you that in the middle of the post stitches, I went ahead and put 1 stitch marker here, and then we're going to skip 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 popcorn sections, and then I put another stitch marker right here. So this is marking the section for the front of the sweater, and then after doing that, I've skipped 1, 2, 3 and a half sections here, and putting that stitch marker right in the stitch that's on top of that 1 single popcorn. Okay, so this is going to be for one of the armholes, and then going further, I'm going to start from this in the center section of that popcorn, and we're going to go to just counting on the popcorns now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sections over. So, and go ahead and put another stitch marker there, and this is going to mark the back of the sweater. And then coming around full circle, starting in the center, we should have 1, 2, 3 and a half sections wide. Okay, so this is marking off the other arm. If you check the pattern, there will be a diagram to show you also, in case this is not connecting with you. Okay, so now what we need to do is we need to change our yarn to the more solid blue color. So let's go ahead and deal with this yarn. I'm going to just show you what I'm going to do. I'll just go ahead and show you the join at this point. Okay, so joining, this is again the ending of the last round of the collar portion, end with the slip stitch, and then I'm going to give it a chain and a tug, and I'm going to go ahead and cut off a nice strand so that it will be easy to hide, and I can choose to hide that later on. Okay, so and I'm going to go ahead and join on the back side of this sweater. I really don't want the seam to be clearly shown. The seam is not going to show very much at all, but I would rather have that on the back side of the sweater rather than on the front side. So let's go ahead and turn this, and again to have the front side of the work facing. Okay, now we're ready to join the new color. Let me go ahead and show you the ball of yarn there. And what we're going to do is we're going to join in one of the spaces where, or actually make sure that it is the space that is on the back side and that there is, you know, quite a distance. This is where you have the 6 sections in between. So I'm going to go ahead and carefully join it in those 2 loops. I'll stick my hook in there, make a slip knot. It's going to pull that through and make a little chain. And we're gonna start by working a single crochet, chain 1, and a double crochet in that first stitch. Now for this wattle stitch, we're only going to skip 1 stitch and not 2 as we lay the foundation. So skip 1 stitch, and in the next stitch we're going to work a wattle stitch, which is that single crochet. Got to get it through all the strands, chain 1, and then a double crochet, and again skip 1 stitch, and we're going to work a wattle stitch in the next stitch, which is again single crochet, chain 1, and a double crochet. And we're going to do this, skip 1, and I'm just emphasizing that because a lot of my designs I will skip 2 stitches for that foundation, but since this is just a little slightly different project, we're skipping only 1. Skip 1 stitch and then work the wattle stitch. Okay, so go ahead and work this all the way across until you get to the first stitch marker there. And again, this is alongside the back. Make sure that you're not working past the armhole at this point because that would mess things up. So over that long section, go ahead and work those wattle stitches, and then I'll show you what you do once you get to that stitch marker. So I have worked that wattle stitch all the way to that next stitch marker. Now you should have a stitch marker here, and then 3.5 sections you have another stitch marker. This is going to form the armhole, and that's what we're going to do right now. We are going to chain a total of 30 chains. After chaining 30 chains, make sure that you don't twist this or anything, and then go right to the section where the next stitch marker is placed, which is right here, and then we're going to continue by working that wattle stitch. Again, single crochet, chain 1, double crochet, and we're going to work that in every other stitch. So skip this stitch, and in the next stitch, single crochet, chain 1, double crochet. And so we're going to continue this wattle stitch all the way until we get to the next stitch marker, which is right here. So right now, between these 2 different stitch markers, we are crocheting the front of the sweater. And then once we end here, we're going to do another chain just like we did, but I will show that to you in just a few seconds. So go ahead right now and finish the wattle stitches until you get to the next stitch marker. After having worked all the way to that next stitch marker, we have completed the stitches across the front. So now we're ready to make the other armhole. So you should have just this small distance from here, 3.5 sections. And we're going to go ahead and chain 30 once again. That's 10. $20. So after chaining the 30 chains, I'm going to join with a slip stitch in that very first single crochet. There we go. Slip stitch, and just to show you, this is going to be that first chain right there that we're going to be working in just a second. So let's go ahead and chain 2, 1, 2, and then we are going to turn our work so that the back side is facing. And now we are going to work in this long chain, and the first thing we're going to do is that first chain. That might be really hard to see, but that first chain is where we're going to work our first single crochet, chain 1, and then a double crochet. Now as we work across this chain, we are going to skip 2 chains. Okay, so skip the next 2 chains, 1, 2, and then single crochet, chain 1, double crochet. And the reason we do this is just so that it's not too tight under that arm space. So skip 2 stitches. Again, this is only working in these chains, and we work that waddle stitch in that next chain, and then skip 2 more, 1, 2, and work another waddle stitch in that next chain. And don't worry about the remaining part of this chain that is showing, because that is going to be worked over when we get to working the arms. Okay, skip 2, etc. So go ahead and just continue working this across the chain section. So I just completed that last waddle stitch in that last chain, and just to show you that you should have a total of 10 waddle stitches in that chain. Again, if you are making the same size that I'm making, if you are making a larger or a smaller size, that number will vary. Okay, so now we're going to join up with the waddle stitches on the foundation round for the body. And what we're going to do from this point on, or at least until we get to the next chain, is we're going to work only in that chain 1 space of that waddle stitch, and we're going to work waddle stitches, single crochet, chain 1, and a double crochet. The next waddle stitch, we just get to that chain 1 space. It may seem a little difficult to see in this video, but once you've worked these a few times, you can see the space is quite clear, and the needle should fall right into place after several of these. Okay, so go ahead and work these all the way around. And let me go ahead and give you some additional instructions. So we're going to work this all the way across the long portion, and then we get to the next chain. We're going to do just like we did. We're going to start the very first waddle stitch in the first chain, which is right here. And then remember, when you get to these, you're going to skip 2 chains as you work each waddle stitch in that chain, and then rejoin with more waddle stitches in the part that is connected to the collar. So go ahead and finish this round. Okay, I'm finishing up along this side, and I wanted to show you I'm working that last waddle stitch in that chain 1 space. Now I'm going to join up with this other, but I want to make sure that this is not twisted in any way. And I'm going to join with that chain 2 space. It might be a little tricky to see. There it is. The chain 2 space that we made at the beginning. And I'm going to chain 2. And again, we're going to turn. And we're going to, again, just working in that chain 1 space. We should be able to work all the way around, literally around the sweater this time. Everything should be fine, just working those waddle stitches in that chain 1 space, especially since we worked those waddle stitches over the chains that are going to be going under the underarms and helping to form the body of the sweater. So I'm going to give you a rather large assignment at this point. We are simply going to work around and around, turning, joining with a slip stitch to the chain 2 at the beginning of each round, and turning at the end of each round. And we're going to just simply work this waddle stitch until the length of the sweater, let me go ahead and show you, which would be from the top of the collar here on down, is approximately, I'm going to work mine until it's approximately 21 to 21.5 inches, and I will show you that in just a minute. So if you want to see what I do, go ahead and watch the video forward a few minutes, before continuing, so that you have an understanding of where I'm going with this. So what you're going to do is work it until you reach the length that you desire your sweater to be, if you want it to be a different length than mine. minus approximately 2 inches, because the last 2 inches are going to be worked with a ribbing, which again is stitches similar to this. It really does give it a nice finish. So go ahead and work this body of the sweater until it is approximately 21 to 21.5 inches. One easy way to keep track of this chain 2 turning chain at the beginning of each round is to simply put a stitch marker there, and it holds your place so that when you come around getting ready to connect, you don't accidentally just crochet over this and then just end up in a continual circle. You want to be sure that you're turning at the end of each round so that you maintain the lovely fabric here. Let me show you what I have now after completing 21 inches. That's measuring it from the top of the collar here all the way down to the bottom edge. So it's approximately 20 inches. Now, if you want this to be longer, I am going to add about 1 inch or so to the bottom with what I'm going to show you next. But if you want it longer than, let's say, 21 inches from the top on down, you need to go ahead and just add the rows that you would like to add that length. But let's go ahead and take a look at where we go from here. It just so happens that I have the back side, or I'm sorry, the front side of my work facing me. And quite honestly, it doesn't matter whether you have the front side or the back side facing what we're going to do right now. But I'm going to have the front, as you can see, the front side of the sweater facing me for this. So I have 1, 2, I'm going to go ahead and chain 2. And what we're going to do now is we are going to work double crochets in the wattle stitches. And from that point on, we're going to work some ribbing stitches. So we are going to work 3 ribbing stitches, or 3 double crochets per wattle stitch. Let me go ahead and show you how I'm going to do that. So now I'm going to start working the ribbing. I'm going to work a double crochet in the single crochet, and then I'm going to work 2 double crochets in the chain 1 space. Now, if you are going the other direction, let's say if you're working it with the back side facing, you would just start off by working 2 double crochets in the chain 1 space and then 1 in the single crochet. The point is, we are not going to be working in the double crochet. I just find this just works better when working in the wattle stitch. So I'm going to work a double crochet. There it is. I'm having a hard time seeing the stitch. In that single crochet, and then 2 in the chain 1 space. And I'm going to repeat that all the way around. 1 double crochet in that single crochet, and then 2 in the chain 1 space. And just to repeat myself, we are not going to be working in the double crochet at all. Okay, so go ahead and work that all the way around. At the end of this round, I'm going to join with a slip stitch to that first double crochet of the round. I'm not going to turn. I'm just going to keep the front side facing. I'm going to chain 2, and we're going to work ribbing all the way around. And just as a note, the chain 2 does not count as a stitch in this round. So we work front post double crochet followed by a back post double crochet, and that's going to be the repeat all the way around. And for the next few rounds, I will give you the total that I work in just a second, but I'm just going to work this around. I'm going to go ahead and pause, and at the end of this round, just like we did at the end of the first round of the ribbing here, we're going to end by working a slip stitch in the first stitch of the round, chain 2, and then just continue on, starting with the front post and a back post, front post, back post, until we get about 1.5 inches along the end. If you want a smaller ribbed finish, you can end up with the smaller one. And if you want more ribbing, you can just add additional rounds with what we just started here with the second round of the ribbing. Okay, so now it's time for us to add the sleeves, and this is going to be very easy, I promise you. Okay, so what we are going to do is we are going to find the center of this part, which is the underarm of the sweater, and let me show you the opening. We are going to crochet around and around, and I know it's not exactly straight right here, but that's okay because this is all going to work out as we add additional rounds. We're going to work the wattle stitch like we've been working here. We're going to set up the initial round, and then we're going to go back and forth turning at the end of each round. And let me go ahead. I wanted to show you a sweater sleeve that I have already completed. And when this is worn, you do not see, any excessive bulkiness or anything. I promise this works really well with the elasticity of this stitch. And so what we are going to do is we are going to crochet around and around on the wattle stitch for a prescribed number of inches. Okay, this is the stitch marker where the join was, and if you measure this, we are going to go approximately 5 inches or whatever size you need for your pattern. It'll probably be in the neighborhood of 5 inches because most sleeves really don't vary too much except for the circumference around the arm. Okay, so after we do that, I did take out my stitch markers, and what the stitch markers are doing in this example here are marking the decreases. So for this particular arm, I worked 8 decreases, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and there's one inside the sleeve you can't see here, and 8. And then after that, I worked an additional 10 rows, and then I finished with the ribbing around the bottom of the sleeve, and as you can see, I have plenty of strands left to hide. So that's a brief explanation of how we are going to make the sleeve. So now I'm going to demonstrate how to begin doing this, and I will also show you how to decrease with these wattle stitches. So I'm going to find where the middle of this stitch is just by folding where these two corners are. And notice I am going to leave my stitch marker, and that's going to be very helpful for measuring the fabric crocheted once we get started. Okay, so now I'm guesstimating that this is, okay, this would be, yeah, right here is where I'm going to start. So now to start, I'm going to get my yarn together here and make a slip knot. And I'm going to join to that center under the underarm. I'm going to go ahead and chain 2. I'm going to go ahead and move this out of the way so it's not terribly distracting. And working in that same space, I'm going to work a single crochet, chain 1, double crochet. And let's see, I'm going to skip this chain, and I'm going to go to the next space here, work a single crochet, chain 1, double crochet, and I'm going to work 32 of these stitches evenly all the way around. Now I'll just do a few more with you. I may have to pull back on some of this crocheting and try again in places to make sure that I get that number worked out. If you're making a larger or a smaller size, please check the pattern. The number of wattle stitches that you complete around may vary slightly. So I'm going to go ahead and work my 32 wattle stitches evenly around. Now I can show you that I am working in these little spaces here where the other wattle stitches were made, and that would be a good way to line these up on the underarm. So go ahead and work those around, and I'll show you what I have at the end of this round. One other quick helpful suggestion is if you put a stitch marker in that chain 2 where we began this round, just like that, that may be very helpful as you work your way around this project. That way you don't accidentally go past it. And anyway, just try to use a stitch marker if you feel you have need. I'm going to go ahead and utilize mine here. Okay, I've worked this all the way around till I have 32 stitches or 32 wattle stitches, and let me show you how I worked the collar portion, or the part that has the colorful section here. As I worked these wattle stitches every other stitch. I did not skip 2 stitches, but I only skipped 1 stitch in between where I put those stitches in. If you skip 2, you're not going to have enough space for 32 stitches, and you're going to need 32 wattle stitches for the size that we're making today. And now I come all the way around to the stitch marker, and then I'm going to join with a slip stitch in that chain 2 space, chain 2, and we are going to turn our work. And it's going to be a little cumbersome turning all of this fabric each time, but that's just the way we're going to have to do these sleeves. And then we just work in that chain 1 space, working the single crochet, chain 1, and a double crochet. Let me do that a little bit, do that again for you. And then we work again in the next chain 1 space, working that single crochet, chain 1, double crochet. So at this point, I want you to work this all the way around until the fabric here measures approximately 5 inches. Now I could give you, I will give you the number of rounds that I worked once I complete this, but honestly the number of rounds does not matter as much as the measure. You want at least 5 inches of fabric. Okay, so go ahead and do that, and then I will show you how to begin the first of 8 decreases. Okay, I have finished the first section. I am measuring from where the arm joins the collar, and it's more like 6 inches. So I said 5 inches before, but I am going till this part is approximately 6 inches. So forgive that. And it is quite stretchy. So even if it's a little bit less than that, it's really okay. So let me go ahead and give you a row count before I go further. So I've just counted 24 rows from where we joined to where we stopped. So now I want to show you how to work a decrease row. And so what we're going to do is we're going to work a decrease row, and then we're going to work 4 regular rows following that. So every 5th row, we are going to do an increase, which is what I'm going to show you next. Okay, so in that first chain 1 space, we're just going to work a single crochet, and that's all. And then the next stitch, we're going to return to the wattle stitch, single crochet, chain 1, double crochet. And it's going to pull this a little bit tight, but that's okay. And you'll see what we do. So go ahead and finish this round with those wattle stitches, and I'll show you the connection at the end of this round. After working this all the way around, we're going to join with a slip stitch to that chain 2, and notice again that's where that single crochet was worked. Now we're going to do another round. We're going to chain 2, and we're going to turn, and we're just going to work the wattle stitches in each chain 1 space all the way around. And the main difference is, let me show you, when we come to this last chain 1 space right here, we are going to work a wattle stitch, and then we're going to join with a slip stitch way over here to this chain 2, and then it will pull this close just a little bit, causing that decrease. So at the end of this row, this is the 2nd row after working the decrease, there is quite a stretch. So go over right here to the chain 2 and join with a slip stitch, and then we can just work in the chain 1 spaces for the next 3 rounds. And I'll just start that there. So in order to help you with these decreased rows and keeping track, let's go ahead and we can find that single crochet right there that was worked in that space as a decrease. I'm going to go ahead and mark it with a stitch marker. Okay, so now I know that's where the first decrease, and then so we're going to do that every 5 rows. So 1, 2, and then this is the 3rd row started. So after I do counting this row as 1, I do 5 rows, and then the next row I will do another decrease, and I'm going to do that until I have a total of 8 decreases worked along that sleeve. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then I will show you what I have after I finish the 8th decrease, or 8th repeat rather, starting with the decrease followed by 4 additional rounds. Okay, I've just completed my 8th repeat, bringing 8 decreases to the sleeve. So that has taken my stitch count, or my wattle stitch count, from 32 down to 24. Okay, so now the next 10 rows are simply going to be just work with those 24 wattle stitches, turning at the end of each round. Just work 10 more rounds, and then I will show you the ribbing. Now the ribbing is going to be the same size as the end of the sweater here, just 5 rounds of the front and back post double crochet ribbing. So what you want to do is, if this sleeve is not long enough for your preferences, you can add additional rounds beyond the 10 rounds that I'm suggesting. But just keep in mind that you do have approximately an inch after that. Let me go ahead and measure just to double check. It's approximately an inch to add on to the cuff at the end. So go ahead and finish those 10 rounds, and then I will show you how to transition to the ribbing. So after having worked those 10 additional rounds, we're ready to begin the first of the ribbing. And in order to do this, this is what we are going to do. I have the front side facing, and we're going to skip that first double crochet, and that goes for all of the double crochets in these wattle stitches. We're going to work a double crochet in the chain 1 space, and then a double crochet in the single crochet, and we're going to do that all the way around. Skip the double crochet, 1 double crochet in the chain 1 space, and 1 in the single crochet. So go ahead and work that all the way around. At the end of the round, we're just going to join with a slip stitch to that first stitch of the round, chain 2, and now the next 4 rounds will be exactly the same. We're just going to work the ribbing, which is a front post double crochet and the back post double crochet, worked alternatingly all the way around, just like we did on the ribbing at the bottom of the sweater. At the end, you're going to join with a slip stitch to the first stitch of the round right there, and then just continue the remaining rounds. So go ahead and work 4 more rounds just like this, or if you want the ribbing to be larger, you can work additional rounds. It's up to you. Well, go ahead and finish that. After you finish working these 4 rounds, just join with a slip stitch and fasten off, leaving a loose strand so that we can hide the loose strands in the end. So this is the way the cuff should look after you've completed those 4 additional rows. So there will be the first row, which was the setup row, plus 4 using the front and back post double crochets. Okay, now it's time for us to move on to the collar portion. So to begin working at the collar, I am going to start on one side. Let me show you the sweater. Okay, so one side, either side is fine. So now to join, I am going to put my hook in between these 2 stitches, just like so. And then I'm going to make my slip knot. And I'm going to pull this around and just do my 2 chains, 1, 2. And what we are going to do is we are going to work front and back post double crochets, and we're going to work them opposite the foundation row or round. So that was round 1. Now in order to do this, I want to follow the prescribed front post here that are already here. So I'm going to start in front of this one, and I'm going to work a front post double crochet. And then I'm going to follow, just watch what I do here. I'm going to do a back post double crochet. Let's try that again. And then a front post. And then a back post. And notice that this should be aligned with the next stitch. Then a front post, which is over those front post stitches. And then a back post. Front post. And let's just keep this going just for a minute. Back post. Front post. Back post, etc. And notice the front post is lining up with this front post again. And then back post. And then front post. Just like this. So go ahead and work that all the way around the collar. I do want to point out the turning chain. Make sure you skip that, or what you can do is include that in that next stitch. Otherwise, your stitch count with the front and back post stitches is going to be off. So you can just wrap those two in together like I just did there, or you can just ignore that one completely. So just be sure that you don't use that as a stitch and then find that you're working back post where you should be working a front post on these other stitches. I just wanted to be quick to point that out to you all. All right, so I'm just going to continue on around. At the end of this round, we're going to join with a slip stitch to the first stitch of the round, just like that. And then without turning, just keep the front side facing. We're going to chain 2, and then we're just going to work 4 more rounds. Not 3, 4 more rounds with the front post over the front post, and then back post over the back post. So go ahead and finish those 4 additional rounds. At the end of the last round, go ahead and join with a slip stitch to that first stitch of the round. Go ahead and give it a chain and a tug. I'm actually going to give it 2. And clip a generous strand, just like that. And now we're ready to hide our loose strands. And let me go ahead and show you how easy this is going to be to do. Use our yarn needle. I'm just going to show you one of these. Just thread it in, and you're going to want to work these on the back side of your work. So I would just weave it gently to these threads and try to hide them under stitches of similar colors, especially when it comes to the color changing yarns over here. And then we can run it back up like this. Then I'm going to run it back down into some more strands. There we go. And I think by running it up and down and then up and down, that really does help to secure these loose threads so they won't be popping out of your work. And then I just like to pull back a little bit and clip very carefully. Make sure you only clip the strand you want to get rid of, not your stitches in the process. Okay, so that strand is well hidden. So let's go ahead and I'll show you what we have. Well, thanks for joining me for the colorful popcorn pullover today. If you enjoyed this project, I would love to hear from you. Please comment below in the comment section. God bless. Bye-bye.